anyone that likes the true crime podcast, what's really cool about Business Wars is it's like a true crime podcast, but for businesses, right? And what's really neat about it is that basically it tells the story of two competing businesses. So one that I listened to while I was on my way out to Apple, or sorry, while I was on the way out to Boise, was Apple versus BlackBerry, right? And a lot of people think that the iPhone is what killed the BlackBerry, right? And it played a part in it, but that's not really, the iPhone was not the nail in the coffin for the BlackBerry. What happened was, if you guys remember, do you guys remember when Apple, the iPhone, was exclusively on AT&T when it first came out, right? Give me a yes in the chat if you guys remember that. So what happened was, when the 4G network started rolling out, Verizon had invested, hundreds of millions, probably billions of dollars into infrastructure for 4G. And they went to BlackBerry and they said, okay, we want you to come out with a 4G phone that we can put on our 4G network. This was in 2010, I believe it was, right? 2009, 2010. So what happened was BlackBerry had this meeting with Verizon, and during this meeting, they were supposed to present their 4G phone. So what happened was they got there and BlackBerry decided that the 4G technology wasn't really that great. It wasn't that good. So instead what they said is, we're not going to create a 4G phone. We're actually going to create some more 3G phones. And here's this 3G phone. And here's why this 3G phone is amazing. Here's why this 3G phone is amazing. And here's why this 3G phone is amazing. And Verizon looked at the executives and they said, so where's the 4G phones? And BlackBerry said, well, we don't have any 4G phones. We're going to stick with 3G. So Verizon said, okay. And they closed their computers and their briefcases, and then they left. And 2 months later, the iPhone rolled out on Verizon, right? So the thing that killed BlackBerry was their failure to innovate, right? They had options. They still could be, and right now all they do is they make phones for third world markets now. That's all they do, right? But the point is that there was something, the writing was on the wall. 4G is what you need to do. And they made the stupidest decision in the world, that we're just going to ignore where the entire world's going, and we're just going to stick with the stuff that we've been doing, right? And that's kind of a perfect lead-in for this for this talk show today. I mean, who here wants to be Apple and not BlackBerry? I mean, I want you to type Apple or BlackBerry. Which one would you like to be? Got a bunch of apples coming in. All right. No blackberries. All right. So you got to remember, when the writing is on the wall that something new is coming, you got to jump in. Otherwise, you're going to end up being left behind, and your partners are going to move on without you. And it's just not going to be a good situation for you. So with that said, Bill, do you want to kind of go into where we're going with all this?
All right. So guys, this is the biggest announcement in Google history in the last 10 years, arguably in advertising in the last 10 years. Every single person at this high-level mastermind that I was at, they wouldn't stop talking about it. And I'm talking about not just lawyer marketers, like I'm saying across every single industry for marketing. And it's going to change the game for marketing forever, arguably. So let's go into it. So Performance Max just recently came out of beta. It's one of Google's most recent innovations, okay? But here's what's most important. Performance Max has been around for a little while. The thing is that it didn't really work that well, because we were testing it as soon as it came out. In traditional SMB fashion, we always roll stuff out rapidly. And we rolled it out and it wasn't really working that well. And then recently, I met someone who actually went to Google's headquarters and met with the product development team that was working on Performance Max. And they announced all of these crazy features that they had just rolled out within it. Long story short, this is like vitally important for you to hop on. This is bigger than local services ads. Okay. This is bigger than when Facebook announced ads in the news feed. Okay. It's that big. The big realization here, Andy, is I think officially computers in advertising are smarter than humans, right? And there's this guy that I was talking to at the event, and he said that he runs this like $1 million a month e-commerce campaign for like survival equipment, and a suggested audience popped up that you should target like people who watch this specific TV show, and it wasn't in his audience signals. And he decided, you know what, screw it. Let's add that to our audience signals, right? This is $1 million a month budget. And when they ran the data, this is the guy that went to Google's office that I was telling you about. When they ran the data, his ROI was 3 times higher on some weird audience that Google suggested he target for survivalists because of it had nothing to do with survival, this TV show they watched. But Google said, hey, we know that your target clients watch these TV shows. Just trust us. And he launched it, and it was the highest ROI campaign. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's insane how many touch points they have on all of it. I mean, it's basically this is like Facebook's lookalike audiences on like just like the most potent steroids ever created. You know, like
I'm worried about Facebook right now, man. Like I got to say, like, because this is why. And I didn't talk to you about this yet, but I want to hear your thoughts. Like, so the news feed on Facebook, right? It's one news feed. So of course it's just going to get more pricey because there's no other main dominant ad inventory that works. With Google, there's 2 million websites, and most advertisers don't even use 98% of the websites Google's partnered with. So if the cost per click goes up on one website and you set your max cost per lead at X, okay, Google's just going to go to one of the other 1,999,000 websites.
Well, not only that, but Facebook, you know, with all the iOS 14 stuff and everything, Facebook has lost a significant portion of their ability to track you. But Google hasn't lost that. Google has, you know, because basically Facebook has Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, right? Google has the Google, they have Google themselves. They've got Gmail. They've got the Google Chrome browser. They've got Google Maps. They've got, I mean, there's a million other ones that they have. You know, there's so many different things that they have. They can track you wherever, and they really haven't been as impacted, you know? So this is really going to be the best way to actually follow people around. Now, I'm not saying that Facebook is completely dead and you should never use it, but you know, I mean, Facebook, this is another tool. It's funny because as a marketer, I'm really, really excited. As a human, I'm a little worried. But as part of society, I'm a little worried about kind of where the computers are going. But as a marketer, it's probably the most exciting thing that I've seen come along, you know, really since the newsfeed advertising. You know, it's just crazy.
So let me kind of add on this too. So just for those of you who are a little bit more experienced in advertising, here's the one thing you still would want to segment, right? Obviously, local services ads are still separate, right? So you run local services ads separately. Okay, so that's not changing. Separate from that, we still have page one of Google search ads, right? The search ads, if there's one thing to run separate from this, it's search ads, right? Because here's the thing, Performance Max is designed, while you will get your ads to show up sometimes on search, on the page one of Google search, right? The average cost per click, like we're running this personal injury test right now in Atlanta, and the cost per click is like 50 cents right now. And you are not going to get a 50-cent click on page one of Google for a quality car accident lead. Sorry, you're just not, right? So we obviously can put 2 and 2 together and understand that for that Performance Max campaign, most of the impressions are coming through everything but page one of Google. So YouTube, display, discovery, Gmail ads, etc., right? And Google Map ads, by the way, they're now embedded. Google Map ads are going to be phased out, okay, by I think June, and Google Map ads are being bucketed into Performance Max, okay? So you're not going to be able to create new Google Map ads going forward. They're all going to be part of Performance Max, right? And over time, in their strategy, okay, they are going on to on their strategy. They are now going deeper into providing detailed analytics and eventually optimizations ability so that you can optimize to where your ads are working the best, right? So this is, so the reason why I'm bringing this up is if you're running search ads on Google, keep that separate. This is not going to affect search ads at all because, again, you're not going to be getting 50-cent clicks, 50-cent, US dollar clicks from page one of Google. You're not going to be if your average cost per click is $100, okay? If your average cost per click is $100 and it's 50 cents on Performance Max, you can bet your bottom dollar that your 50-cent clicks over here are not going to be competing against your $100 clicks on page one of Google. Okay. So it's important to understand that you can still segment search from this. Okay. If there's a second category to split off from this, if you're an advanced advertiser with over a $20,000 budget, okay, just make sure you're listening. Okay. Over 20K. All right. Okay, great. Then we can segment and have a 5K a month campaign on YouTube ads, right? And really do a YouTube ads campaign with funnels built and a whole marketing strategy behind it.